know you've reached peak couple energy when your undies match. MeUndies Match Me has you both covered. Literally, in super soft ultra-modal undies, socks, PJs, and loungewear. Festive prints? Check. Cozy vibes? Double check. And right now, it's deal season. Get up to 50% off site-wide for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Take your couple game to the next level with MeUndies Match Me. To get deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/comfort, promo code COMFORT. That's MeUndies.com/comfort, code COMFORT.
I'm here.
He's Derek.
Here's the door, here's the steeple, here's the way I hold my penis for people.
She's Romaine.
I am a super lesbian with lesbian on top. No dick is coming anywhere near me.
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches! Hello, Derek!
You know, you said no dick was coming near you, but here I am.
Oh, God, why did I speak too soon? Why?
I have some breaking Critter Chat news while we're doing the show.
Okay.
So today's show is fresh, but in the can. We use the same technique to freeze it fresh that Bird's Eye use on peas. Anyway, I am sitting here doing the show, and the location where I'm currently doing the show, people can guess, there are two adorable baby deer, like outside my window.
That's adorable.
Just little babies. Like one is just like a baby.
Oh.
And then the other one seems to be a little older.
A little older baby?
Yeah. So maybe like, I don't know what the gestation cycle is for a deer.
I don't know.
Maybe she had one like in the early spring and then got knocked up again and popped out a second one.
They're probably twins.
No, they're different sizes.
Oh, maybe she adopted one from somebody else. Like maybe one was baby mommyless or something.
Like a hunter mother, like in Bambi, got adopted. That could be. I'm
looking up the gestational period for a deer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Is 200 days or 7 months.
That is a really long gestation.
Well, they're big animals, Derek. It's not like it takes 5 minutes.
Well, maybe it doesn't take 5 minutes for you.
I mean, they got to grow a lot of parts.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they are adorable little deer. They're very dear to me.
Aww. Wow.
I know.
Let's find out what time of year they get pregnant. Usually between October and December is when they get pregnant.
Is in the fall because they know that they want to have their babies in the spring. As opposed to
May
having
or
their
June
baby
is
in the winter
usually when they give up their babies.
Yeah, when there's no food.
Mm-hmm.
So you know those deer during the summertime are like, my legs are crossed, bitch. Stay away.
That's gotta suck for the mama deer though, because think about it. Like in the wintertime, there's not a lot of food out there for a mama deer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's growing this fucking baby who's taking all the nutrients out of her body like a little parasite.
Oh Jesus, you're still on this about your own baby?
Yes, I'll never not be on that.
She'll never let it go.
Oh, well, that's super cute that you're watching some cute little deer frolicking around. I love baby deer. First of all, I love baby deer. This is the one thing that makes me sad about the farm next door is that before the farm, like when it was like basically abandoned, the deer used to run amok down there, and then in the backyard, in the woods, they would give birth a lot. So every like May, you would see like a mama deer with a brand new baby out in the back. Oh, it was so cute. We used to watch it every year. And then the farm got bought by Christy and Brian, and then they started being very active down there, and so the deer don't hang out down there anymore, and therefore they don't give birth in the backyard anymore, which is a real bummer because I really miss seeing the itty-bitty baby deer. But recently we were at our friend Jeff's house, and he has a big backyard that's fenced, and on one side of it, it's like a chain link fence, so you can kind of see through it. And then there's wooded area right beside the chain link fence. And so this mama deer had brought her two baby deer up against the fence, like to like protect them in this like little area where there was like some brush, but not like super dense brush. So she could kind of get in there and protect them a little bit.
Right.
And those little baby deer were frolicking and playing alongside the fence for hours. And they didn't seem to mind us because there was enough distance and a fence between us. And so we just sat there and watched them, and they were so cute. So I understand how you're enjoying this point of view is what I'm saying.
I am. Now, I'm trying to they're a little obscured. Like one of them I can see, and then the other one is kind of like hiding behind some rocks. And I'm hoping that they'll both like pop out at the same time, I'll be able to see them side by side because they do feel like they are two different sizes. Yeah. One is definitely smaller than the other one, but maybe they are. Maybe they are twins.
Right. Maybe one of them just got more nutrients than the other one.
Right. And
or maybe one's a boy and one's a girl, so one's growing a little faster.
Yeah, maybe one's the fucking runt of the litter.
That could be too.
And now there's another deer.
Oh.
And this one does not seem...
So maybe that's the other mama.
Maybe, because this, well, if it's a mama deer, it's not very big. None of these deer are very big.
Girl,
I don't know, maybe it's...
deer can get knocked up like cats. Like they can be like, whatever, 6 months old and get knocked up.
Douche. But
think about a cat. A cat can get knocked up after it's like 2 months old or some shit like that.
Well, that's because cats, like when you have flies in your house, are born pregnant. Like they just like, how are you already having something pop out of you?
Right.
Or like one of your sisters in high school, just born pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is okay. I don't know with these deer. I don't know. There seem to be like a bunch of just juvenile deer
and
around.
They could be. They could be a whole herd of young deer.
Maybe. Okay. Well, anyway.
And they're just hanging together. Who knows?
Hanging tough. But they're deer. But they're tough.
But, you know, like this is what a herd of deer is. It's like a lot of mama deers and their baby deers, and that makes a herd.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then there's like some big stud around who's like, hey, ladies, these are all my babies.
Big stud. Okay. Well, anyway, I want everyone to know that even though I don't live in the old place anymore, I still have deer sightings on my horizons.
Well, that's sweet.
Well, you know, we live in an area where there's the deer, the only hunting for deer in this general area.
Yeah.
Is by bow and arrow.
Well, which is, that's not easy to hunt by a bow and arrow.
You have to have some skill.
You do.
But that is sort of a holdover from Native American tribes in the area of like, well, we can't stop them from hunting for food, even if we don't are sort of like down on hunting around here. But it also means that I'm sure the leading cause of death for deer in my area are car. Like, you know, there are not a lot of like wild animals and everything. Although apparently I want to say Yellowstone. Now I don't have the story directly in front of me. You know, we pull topics for these things.
We do.
And then I'm like, but let me freelance something that wasn't on our topic.
That sounds like Derek.
So there was an article though about, I want to say Yellowstone.
Okay.
Where they have aspen trees.
Yes, that would be probably out in Yellowstone, Colorado area. Yeah.
So they had an issue where they had the gray wolves had been hunted to extinction because, you know, they eat like livestock and whatever else. So around Yellowstone. So and they had been hunted to near to extinction in the area, I don't know, decades ago.
Yeah.
And then the elk population, I want to say, flourished.
Right.
Because they didn't have any gray wolves, which were their leading predator. But the elk apparently love to eat delicious aspen tree saplings.
Oh.
It's like their favorite snack. And what they discovered was there were so many elk that they weren't getting any new aspen trees. And so they reintroduced gray wolves into Yellowstone, I think 20 years ago, a little while ago. But the unintended consequence of it is now they have lots of new aspen tree growth, which they had not had in decades because the elk population was kept in check, and some of these aspen were able to grow tall enough that the elk could not eat them. So you never know how the circle of life is going to work out in a particular area. But in this case, like if there had been a wildfire and all the aspen trees had burned, they would never be able to replenish them because the elk would have eaten them all. And then there would just be no tree cover at all, which is a real problem. Because then where will the birds live?
Right. And where will we get those beautiful fall colors?
That's right.
Because those aspen trees are gorgeous in the fall.
I know. It's beautiful. Everybody loves a fall tree, me included.
Me too.
But I love a delicious deer more. Actually, I don't even. I was
going to say, when was the last time you ate deer?
I don't think I ever have, honestly. Or maybe
I
did.
How have you never eaten deer?
Well, maybe there was something. You know, every once in a while we'll have some kind of like a gastronomical adventure. Like we go on these cruises and things, and sometimes they're like, oh, our fancy plate tonight is, venison or something, right?
Right.
I feel like on a cruise recently, there was one where there was like, our special tonight is venison. And I think they're just, they're trying to mix things up, have something you don't normally get, kind of a thing. It's how you end up eating a buffalo.
Right.
Well, I'll have a bison burger. Why not? It's tasty. If you like a good, meaty, gamey, tough meat, it's good. Anyway, I feel like at some point I had some fancy and fruity venison thing, but I don't think I ever had it like as a kid because my dad was not a hunter. When he was a kid, his dad would take him hunting, but I don't think he enjoyed it. And so when we were kids, he was not a hunter and did not take us hunting. But we did have neighbors who lived down the street from us on Lake Street in Salt Lake City. And they were real sketchy. That was the house where, like, one of the kids was still breastfeeding in kindergarten.
Oh.
Possibly the first grade. Like, he had, like, metal teeth in his mouth because his teeth were not growing in properly or something. And it was almost certainly because he was still nursing. Like, he would come home from kindergarten and, like, I'm hungry.
Oh.
Too old for that. Anyway, my dad did not approve of us hanging out there, but they had a daughter who was about Sniffer's age, my sister Tiffany, and she liked to hang out with that girl. But that family was sketchy. But they would go hunting, and then they would come back, like your family, and then, like, there'd be 3 deer, like, hanging in the garage or whatever. Like, it was a gruesome scene. And,
can be.
Yeah. But everybody else in the neighborhood, like, it was just because, usually in that kind of a situation, one, you're either in a neighborhood where everybody does that, and so it's like everybody's garage has meat hanging in it, and that's just like
yes, that's the way it was where I grew up.
Right, or you're in a particular like a rural area, and then it's like it's extremely common in a more rural area. But we were like downtown in Salt Lake City in a very like downtown suburban neighborhood, and nobody had meat hanging in their garage except this one family. Like they were the only ones because everybody else was like, we live in a city and we don't like cut our own meat. So anyway, so they were kind of outliers in the neighborhood. And, but I don't know that I don't think I ever ate there because a few times I went over there because like my dad would be like, go with your sister because he thought that family was sketchy and that somehow
you being there would be protecting her.
Yeah. Me would be able to protect 4-year-old her. Okay. And anyway, so I would go over there with her sometime. And they were, like, even as a little kid, I was like, it's weird here. Because, when you're a kid, you go to other people's houses, and when you're little, you don't necessarily notice the differences. When you get older, then you can really tell, like, who has money and who doesn't and whatever else. Right. But most of the time when you're little, you're not paying attention. You don't care what adults are doing or anything. But that house had a weird vibe. Like, I still remember it. It was creepy. Anyway, so I think if I ever had venison, it was some kind of situation like that.
That makes
where it
sense.
was some kind of like high end on a cruise ship or fancy restaurant or something.
Right.
Like I never had like, we put some venison on the grill at the summer barbecue. Like even though there were people hunting deer around there. Like
see, and I grew up eating that shit.
Well, that's because your family was poor and you had to eat what your dad could hunt.
I don't know that when by the time I came around, that was why we did it. I think my dad just really enjoyed hunting, and so but he didn't want to waste what he killed, so we ate it.
Well, I mean that's reasonable.
I mean, I think there was a point where yes, that's exactly why he hunted. Was he was poor, and it was easier to feed his large family with the meat that he would hunt.
Why you gotta make a fat joke about your family?
I didn't mean it that way, but okay. I mean, you're not wrong.
A lot of you. All right, 844. Just kidding. We're not live.
Yeah.
Now, over the summer, there was this freaky occurrence that happened.
What occurrence was that?
With the Annabelle doll. Now,
oh
I have
my
not
God.
watched these Annabelle movies.
Oh, God.
But people are really obsessed with this Annabelle like horror movie series.
Yeah, I'm not because I hate all things scary.
Yeah.
But yes, there are people who are obsessed with that shit. I think my wife and daughter might watch these movies. I don't fucking know. I'm not interested in it. But okay, so there is this Annabelle doll. And this guy, Dan Rivera, he was taking the haunted Raggedy Ann doll on tour because he thought that it was cursed and he wanted to like take it on tour for these people who are obsessed with this kind of weird shit to come and see and blah, 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 right? Now, this doll had previously been owned by this guy, Philip Siracusa, I think is how you say his last name. And he owned this place called the Haunted Horsefly Chronicles Home. Okay. He became friends with Dan Rivera. And, when Dan came to like look at the paranormal activity inside the Haunted Horsefly Chronicles home. So at some point in time, Dan gets a hold of this doll and decides, I'm going to take it on tour. I'm going to let other like spooky people who love spooky shit come and see this doll. Right. And Philip was like, this is a bad idea. This doll is cursed. And this is going to lead to bad things. He told Dan, this is not something you should be doing. And Dan's like, yeah. I'm going to do it anyway, basically, right? So off they go. And, something bad happened. Dan Rivera died suddenly. Just died. I think he wasn't even that old. I want to say, I'm trying to see if it says how old he was. He was in his I think mid-50s, if that. Anyway, he was not an old guy. Just mysteriously fucking died. And all the other experts of paranormal activity are like, hello, Annabelle killed you. This doll, this cursed doll that you didn't think was a big deal to be taking it out on tour, fucking killed you. Meanwhile, Philip is like, I told you so. I told you this was a bad idea. You shouldn't have fucking messed with this fucking doll. You should have left it where it was because there is some seriously negative energy attached to it, and it could be deadly. And then it was. So then, this other guy, Chris McKinnell is his name. So he is the grandson of Lorraine Warren, who evidently was one of the original owners of this Annabelle doll. And she had always said, do not take this doll out. Do not do anything with this doll. This is bad, bad, bad. Don't do it. Including when they died, when the grandparents died, there was a warning that was written on the case of this doll that said positively, do not open. Because they knew that this doll was stupid, dangerous, and cursed. And Chris, when he saw that Dan Rivera was taking this doll out on tour, spoke out about it in several media posts, including one where he said, someone is going to get seriously hurt. And then he did. He did. Now, many of these paranormal collectors, Derek, I don't know if you know this, but most of them believe that if you take possession of something like this Annabelle doll, you should lock it up in a museum or something like that, where you can contain the energy of the object that might be possessed or whatever. Now, what's going to happen to the doll now? I don't know. I'm sure it's anybody's guess, but I feel like you've been touring with this haunted doll. You end up dead randomly. Maybe the doll really is fucking haunted. Maybe it's time to lock this doll in a box, bury it 25 feet underground, and leave it there. Wouldn't you do that? But the lore on this doll just got strengthened by this random death.
Yeah, you know what?
No, what?
I have to side with my grandmother, Nanny Laura, in the realm of not believing anything I can't put my fist through.
So you don't believe this doll is cursed?
I think people see what they want to see. Now, when I was a kid, when the Poltergeist movie was made,
yep,
the little girl in the Poltergeist. Oh, actually, no. First, the older teenage daughter died. Her boyfriend killed her. Dominique Dunn, the daughter of Dominic Dunn. And people were like, oh, you made this movie about, the occult and the afterworld or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And now it is cursed. And then they made, 2 sequels. And the little girl died. She had like an intestinal blockage or something. And she died like at 11 or something, like pretty young.
Right.
And they were like, see, this movie is cursed. And, the next thing you know, Craig T. Nelson stars in 11 seasons of Coach. Oh, look, there you go. See, that movie was cursed.
Funny.
Anyway, I tend to think, that this is a lot of hooey. The Poltergeist is a movie.
Yeah.
And the girl was murdered by her boyfriend, which, as I've said many times, is the leading cause of death of young women.
Well, yeah.
In murder, it's a romantic partner, perceived or otherwise.
Yep.
And so can't really be surprised there. And then with the little girl, look, that's just a random thing. She had a medical condition.
So you think this is just a random death? This guy died just randomly and people want to blame it on the doll?
Sometimes people die randomly.
Well, this is true. That does happen.
And so, no.
So would you go on
also,
tour with this doll?
No.
Why
I'm
not?
not interested. First of all, I'm not interested. I've seen because it's in the movie version of the Annabelle, it's a porcelain, like a Victorian porcelain era
Because those
doll.
are way more creepy, I think, than
right,
a
right,
Raggedy
and
Ann
they
doll.
are creepy. But the real Annabelle doll is actually a Raggedy Ann doll from like the late 60s, which my sister Tiffany had one of those.
Oh, yeah. I think I still do.
I mean, yeah. Maybe it's haunted and possessed. Maybe this would explain your own string of bad luck. Did you ever think about that?
I never thought about that.
Actually, she has not had a string of bad luck. Her life has been fine.
Mostly.
Anyway, all I'm saying is I think, you have a commercially purchased doll. I don't think there's no reason to believe that Raggedy Ann or, by transitive property, Raggedy Andy, is a haunted entity.
So you don't think that
there's a lot of bump.
demonic things can attach to
No.
physical items?
But it's certainly not to something you can buy at a department store.
Okay.
I mean, sure. If you go to some, shop and then they sell you a gremlin in a cage, okay. This was a sketchy,
Some
I just went
mogwai.
to this little shop in Chinatown and then I got this weird creature nobody's ever seen before. Okay, that is a bad idea. You go to some curio shop and you get a monkey's paw. Yeah. You got to be real careful about that kind of shit.
You find your brother's voodoo doll in a box. Yeah. Be careful.
I don't know who Saban was putting pins in.
I don't either.
It wasn't you.
But I've got his fucking voodoo doll. I haven't disposed of it yet, but I need to.
What are you gonna have some kind of ritual?
No. Yeah. I asked my
Is he
sister.
gonna get a Viking
So,
funeral?
Listen,
Are you gonna
I
set it out to
asked
sea
my
and
sister
light it on fire?
Trish. I was like, listen, I found this voodoo doll in Saban's shit. I asked him to get rid of it. He told me he did, and then he lied to me because he knew I'd be so mad if I found it in my house. And then, of course, what I do? Find it in my fucking house. So I am a little mad about it. But I asked my sister Trish, because, she's all into this crazy woo-hoo shit. And I'm like, what do I do? And so she taught me what to do to release the negative energy from it and then I have to burn it. So I have to do this whole thing with salt, and then I have to release the energy. I have to speak to it and let it go until it can release all of its negative energy. Its work is done, and then I can dispose of it.
Oh my God, girl! Remember last summer when you were struggling to get Iris and Pie Pants to help you get the house ready for sale and clean and do things? Mm-hmm. You know what you should have done with this voodoo doll?
Curse
you
them?
should have elf on the shelfed them with this voodoo doll.
It's never too late.
You should have moved that. By the time this is airing, it
Well,
is.
that's probably true. But I haven't destroyed it yet, so I can still do things with it.
You should fucking move this voodoo doll around and play,
Oh God, that's
have it sitting on the couch watching TV or something.
That's fucking hysterical.
And then, I didn't put it there. Oh, maybe the house wants us to leave. Yeah. Well, maybe the house wants you to start cleaning.
That's fucking funny.
But-
I could do that. That actually would be a lot of fun to fuck with them like that.
Yes.
Why am I so
totally
evil?
think you should.
Why am I like, Derek, that's a horrible idea. I couldn't do that to my family. Meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. That would actually be really fun to do something like that, to fuck with them. Why am I so evil?
I don't know. I'm so crafty and clever on these ideas.
You are.
You should consult me more often for this kind of shit.
I should.
Because that would absolutely motivate your wife. And it
Well,
would.
maybe.
Well, look.
I don't know
there's
that
a-
anything can motivate my wife when she's not in the mood to be motivated.
there's a whole thing. I was reading this thing, like in social media, they had this thing about ghosts, and about how like there's a big afterlife paranormal culture in Latin countries and in South Asian countries. Like it's big, especially in a place like the Philippines, where you have a great cross between South Asian, Pacific Island culture and, Spanish, Latin culture, right? It's like a perfect mix. And so, they're big on the paranormal and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. And also, I mean, when you're on a tropical island, it's hot and it's humid. And then you start like, oh, I have the vapors. Oh, is that a ghost before me? What am I seeing with my eyes? So anyway, so they take these things for quite granted in these cultures. Your wife, very Hispanic. You know what? I think she could be undone by a ghost story very easily.
Yeah, you might be right.
And your daughter is young and impressionable.
Yes.
So she could fall for any shit now. Mm-hmm.
She could.
So I'm just telling you, you elf on the shelf this voodoo doll all over the place.
I could use this as motivation for these two. I like it.
And that could be that could solve all your problems. Actually, you know what? You could just be like, I don't know. That's so weird. Like it could just be in a place and don't even notice it or like, oh, that's weird. I wonder why that's there. Well, we'll put it away. And then you put it away. And then the next
Make
day
a big
it's
show
in a
of putting
place,
it away.
And you're like, oh, this is so weird that this voodoo doll keeps popping up.
God, that's so
I hope it doesn't mean the house is like angry at us for some reason. I hope there aren't evil spirits here.
That's so fucking funny.
I know.
I love it.
Speaking of which, the people who bought my old house, they when they had their party for their like housewarming, they had said in the invitation that they were like, please excuse holes in the wall and general lack of organization. You'll be invited back eventually when we get our act together. But also, they had said that that if there were any ghosts there, that to just don't mind the ghosts.
Oh. I don't like living in places with ghosts, though. I've been in places with ghosts, but no.
He said it's hosted by, the couple and their son and probably a house ghost.
Oh.
Now, I do not believe that my old house is haunted. Like when I moved in, I did not get a sense that the house was haunted by a
But didn't the owner
occupant.
before you die in that house?
Well, yes. But I did not feel a presence from him.
Gotcha.
Now,
maybe he didn't want to haunt you.
Maybe. Now, my grandmother Doris, she said that if there was an afterlife, that she did not believe in. But she said if there was one, and there was a way to haunt people, that she would absolutely haunt me. So she made me an ironclad guarantee. And let me tell you something, she never lied to me. Now, was she evasive? Yes. When I asked her what was under her wig, would she tell me? No. But did she lie to me about it? No.
Okay.
Anyway, she said, you can see under my wig when I'm dead. Okay.
And did you?
No, because I wasn't there. But I assume, looking at photos of her mother and how high her forehead was, I think she just had a very high Elizabeth I forehead. And
gotcha.
Her hair was kind of thin. And then, frankly, as I've gotten older, I'm like, ugh, brush my hair again today? Oof. I'm like, maybe a wig is the right way to go. It's just very practical. Not when it's hot, but, I mean, even in the winter, like a wig is so great. Like you don't have to wear a hat. Just put on a wig. Anyway, maybe I'll take up winter wig.
Winter wig. Okay.
Winter wig. So if there was going to be a ghost in the house, it would have been Doris. And then every once in a while, I felt like a pain in my hip. Like she punched me in the hip. That was her thing. But there was never any like, ooh, or door slamming or whatever else.
Right.
But like this social media post about this was like, oh yeah, I visited my girlfriend went with my girlfriend to visit her family in the Philippines, and while we were there, I saw I was sitting in the living room and I saw a shadow move across like the TV screen behind me. And then I turned around and there was nothing there. And I told her and she's like, oh, that's my grandmother. Usually she stays upstairs, but I guess she decided to wander around.
Oh.
Like very matter-of-factly. Like, okay. So I think that there are people who do live in like a paranormal culture.
Sure.
And they take for granted that paranormal things are happening all around them. And I am not one of them. But I did let the owners of the old house know that if there were ghosts, that I would take them with me when I left. But I didn't sense anything when I was at their party. And, I said, I'm getting in the car. Let's go, ghosts. And they didn't. I don't know. There weren't any ghosts in the car. It wasn't like I looked in the rearview mirror and I was on the Haunted Mansion ride and they were like hitchhiking. Didn't happen.
Okay.
But you know what? People believe what they want to believe.
I mean, you've lived in a place that's haunted, though, right? I mean, you saw the ghosts at our old office.
No. I definitely, yes. So I definitely saw a ghost in the office, and that absolutely freaked me out. And
I'll never forget you actually seeing it. That was the best part.
But that place, that old building was legitimately haunted.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt by the children and young women who died slumped over a sewing machine when it was a fucking
sweatshop.
Factory, like a miserable sweatshop. Yeah. And, but like it's an old place in an old part of New York. I am sure it was just like Ghost Central.
Oh, yeah.
So I did see a ghost there. And when I was a kid, when we lived at, on 942 Esther, because, every house had a name, and it was usually the address. Because we moved so much that when we were like, hey, remember when we'd always have to say the name of the house so that my mom would know, like, oh, that happened at 5080. Okay. So then, that's how we do things. So anyway, so 942, when we lived in 942 Esther, I came home from school and legit, like there was a knock at the door. And I opened the door, and there was no one there. And I looked around, and I thought, oh, maybe it's like a doorbell ditch thing. I mean, we lived up a hill. Kids wouldn't have gone all that way to doorbell ditch and then just go home.
Right.
Like, it was too much of a... There were no kids that lived immediately around us and we were up a hill. It was too much work for a kid. Anyway,
gotcha.
For no payoff of like, oh, I doorbell ditched you, and you didn't even know. They would have told you because with that amount of effort. Anyway, so there was a knock at the door, and I opened the door, and there was nobody there. And I was like, and I looked around outside. I didn't see anyone, and I closed the door. And then there was a knock at the door again, and I opened the door, and there was nobody there. And I was looking around. And as I was standing there, holding the door in my hand.
Well, I'm sorry. Someone knocked on the door while you were holding the door?
Yeah, it was open, and there was a knock at the door. When it was open. In my hand. There was nobody there, and there was a knock at the door. And I was like, oh, that's freaky. And then I was like, what's that smell? And I turned around, and one of the burners on the stove was on. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm leaving the house until my mom gets home.
Okay, that's
fucking
crazy.
Burner. I closed the door, and I sat outside until my mom came home. Because I was like, fuck this noise. This house is haunted, and I'm not dealing with this shit. Goodbye. So I have experienced the paranormal before. But also, that was a weird house to be haunted because it was not particularly old. And it wasn't, like it was up in a hill that had always been sparsely populated. Like it was a summer getaway area of Northern California. And most of the houses there were like summer houses. So a lot of people didn't live there year round. Because, there's a lot of like, this happens all the time with like cabins in the woods. Like when you were a kid growing up, there were areas where it was, outside of the summertime or like hunting season or whatever, like it was extremely sparsely populated because most of the places were just weekend cabins or summer getaways or hunting lodges or whatever. And so that's what this area was. It was mostly like a summer town. and the year-round residents were a lot of burnt-out hippies and whatever else. But like the population went in half in the wintertime. Like there was nobody there. So the idea that it would be this place that would be super haunted or something, because I don't think Native Americans ever lived up on this hill. Like it was up a hill.
Right.
And, it was a one-lane road to get up there, and the houses were not particularly close together. And it wasn't like, oh, this is obviously like a colonial village or an ancient Indian burial ground or any of that shit. So I don't know who that ghost would have been, but maybe it was just passing through. But I did not enjoy my paranormal activity there.
Interesting. I just don't. I just ask ghosts to leave me alone.
Now,
If I sense
have
them,
you?
I just ask them to bugger off.
But have you had your own paranormal activity?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen and experienced ghosts many times.
Oh.
Absolutely. And but I don't. So I think I'm pretty intuitive to ghosts. Like I can sense them pretty strongly. My mom used to believe that she could sense ghosts pretty strongly. She didn't like it, and I don't like it either. Honestly, I don't like the feeling it gives me. And so typically if I'm in a place and I start to get that feeling, and sometimes I don't know why, like I think I've told this story before, but for years, whenever I'd go to the Botanical Gardens in Denver, Colorado, when I would get to the very back of the gardens, it gave me this really horrible feeling, like this uneasy, horrible feeling. And then I found out that that area had once been a graveyard, and that there was a whole scandal about how they didn't remove all the bodies, and it was some weird shit. So anyway, but I never liked it. I never liked the feeling. So now when I get that feeling of sensing that there is something afoot, paranormal something, I typically politely ask that the spirits leave me be. That I'm not, while I can acknowledge their existence, I'm not interested in communing with them, and that I would just like to be left alone. And I usually will sometimes I will say it out loud. I will just say, I sense that you are here. I appreciate that you are here, but I would like to be left alone. I politely, ask that you leave me alone. And generally speaking, it works. Every once in a while, not so much. But generally speaking, I find that if you just ask politely for space, that most spirits, I feel like, will honor that. But I definitely feel like I get visited by spirits a lot. I actually feel like I get visited by my loved ones quite often, but they tend to communicate with me via the dream realm. Like I have a lot of very, very specific dreams with loved ones who have passed, and usually they want to tell me something, or they want to share with me something, or a lot of times I feel like they want to share with me that they are okay, or that they are happy, or that they are with me. And a lot of times they visit me, especially during times of strife in my life. Like my mom will come and visit me a lot in times of strife. And I take comfort in that, and I just kind of take it for what it is, and I don't put a lot of anything into it. Like maybe it is a subconscious thing. Maybe I'm just missing my mom, and so I dream about her. Maybe that's all it is. I don't know. But if it is her visiting me, I appreciate those visits, and I appreciate that they make me feel comfort. So I'm not going to, I don't know what it is. I just know that it happens from time to time. But yes, I definitely feel like I have experienced plenty of spirits.
All right.
Over the years.
Well, speaking of things going on in your head...
Yeah. Yes.
Or possibly going on in the real world.
Yes.
Who can say?
Who can say?
Who among us can say what's real or not real?
Right.
Although somebody posited in social media that a lot of our story, like the old stories about people seeing ghosts and whatever else, are like, people used to not have like antipsychotic medication or glasses for their astigmatism. And it's entirely possible that a lot of what people saw as ghosts were undiagnosed mental illness or just blurry vision.
All possible.
And I got to be honest, like...
That seems as reasonable an explanation as anything else.
There's a not zero chance that that's true.
Right.
Anyway. So, but speaking of things that may be going on in your mind, Meta, the owners of Facebook and Instagram, have been working on a new wearable device, a wristband, Now, these tech companies have been trying for years now to get a wearable that people will be excited about wearing.
Right.
And the Apple Watch definitely has its adopters and things.
Yes.
But it has struggled to get the kind of larger platform that the MacBook or the iPhone certainly has been able to get.
I don't think it has been as
was.
successful as they had hoped.
No, I don't think so. But there are people who, love their Apple Watch. Love them.
Yeah.
And I think wisely, they are really starting to target the Apple Watch to people who are concerned about their health.
Yes, I think it is much more effective as a health device to help monitor things than anything.
Right. And I think as baby boomers are already in a how's my heart rate kind of a place. But also Gen X, which is far more likely, I think, to purchase something like this, is also moving into a space of maybe I should be monitoring my steps and my heart rate and whatever else. So I think that there's, because one of the few wearables that actually took off in any kind of real way was Fitbit.
Yes.
Because on its own, because it really tapped into something for people who are into fitness. And the other thing is, with the Apple Watch, if you like to run or ride your bike or whatever, it's great to be able to play music or, whatever without needing to have lots of extra stuff on you. So, if you can ride your bike and listen to some tunes and check your heart rate and how many miles you've gone and whatever else, it's a convenient thing. But I think Meta would also love, because they are really starting to try to get into a hardware space and not just social media. And a lot of these companies would like to diversify their thing, because I think Google bought Fitbit. I don't remember, but I think they did. Somebody did. I feel like it was Google. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Google, remember, they had their Google Glass. They tried to get people to do that. That didn't work. And then the last couple of years, they've really tried to get people into these virtual reality headsets. That has been something of a dud. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are gamers who are really into it, but I think most people are like, what am I going to do? Wear this around the house and bump into furniture? Also, let's get real about things. With a virtual reality headset. What if it was your grandkids can call you on the virtual reality headset and you can see them as if you're in the room with them. But then I think, nobody looks good on these things. Nobody wants to be seen that closely. Well, you want your grandma to be like, oh, are you going to lose some weight before your sister's wedding? Nobody wants that.
Fair.
So anyway, the virtual reality thing has been a dud. But Meta thinks they have the hot new thing. And it is a wristband that you can use to control other devices with your mind. Okay.
I'm skeptical, but okay. Tell me more.
So basically, what it does, very, very similar to what the Apple Watch does with your pulse, right? It's measuring your pulse and electrical waves and things that are going on in your wrist. But they have used, I'm going to imagine, AI and algorithms to determine when you are going to reach for something, when your hand is reaching out, that your brain is sending signals into your wrist to make the motion that you're going to make. And so what the device does is, if you just think about moving your wrist to grab something, it will know, the wristband will know that that's what that signal is. And then it can actually, so if you wanted to reach to turn up the volume on something, it would know that that is the signal that your brain is sending to your wrist to turn that knob. So you just have to think about turning the knob, and then it will know you want to turn the knob, and it will turn the knob for you.
Huh. Okay.
Or you're going to reach for a door to open it. And so the wristband will know that's the motion you're going to do. Now, I don't know how real or not real this kind of thing is and how practical it's ultimately going to be. And one would imagine that it's probably going to be more ultimately the Wii controller. that people are still going to want to pantomime whatever the thing is, like they're
Right.
Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
in order to open things. Because I would imagine that you'll be like thinking about it and it won't be enough. And then you'll be like, God damn it, I got to move my wrist anyway. And then you're going to look like a crazy witch casting spells all the time in your house.
Yes. I don't think this is going to take off. I think this is going to be like the Google Lens and things like that, where in theory, sure, people might get excited about it. A few like super tech nerds would go and get it just to try it, but I think it's going to fall short of expectations and not ultimately be any good.
I mean, I think the real issue here is like Star Trek. So on the old TV show Star Trek, they had automatic doors that opened.
Yeah.
And people would walk up to doors and the door was open and they wouldn't have to do anything. They just stood there. And because of that, now we have automatic doors that open. Like you go to the grocery store and you're in the future. And that was pretty simple technology. You just need to have some kind of like eye. And then when it sees there's something there, it opens a door. Very simple, rudimentary. It's why we've had it for decades.
Right.
But, you know, they also had like the communicators on the shirt. And so they've wanted to have, or like the tricorder to like scan a person to see if they're sick or whatever.
Right.
So a lot of that kind of science fiction-y stuff, I think a lot of companies would love to make that a reality. You know, that Elizabeth Holmes who went to prison, that whole thing was, oh, you could go to a CVS pharmacy and out of a drop of blood, they could tell you whether you're going to live or die. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like, oh, that's so the future. It's so exciting. You know, like when people go there for like a blood pressure test or whatever, right?
Right.
Like, oh, you'll be able to like diagnose 1,000 different maladies just by walking into your local pharmacy. And of course, that turned out to be the bunk.
Right.
But this is the kind of holy grail stuff that they really want to get out of these kinds of wearable devices where you're just like literally, not just literally, but also figuratively opening doors. But I think just like with the success of the Fitbit versus other things, I think that there has to be such a powerful use case for people that they're like, oh, I've got to have this. Like the iPod was a huge success because people love to have music with them at all times.
Right.
And the Walkman was a big hit.
Do you ever
and the
miss
Discman and
Do you
everything?
ever miss the old iPad or the old the iPod?
You know what?
I do.
In a way, I do. Only in the sense of sometimes it would be nice to be more away from my phone.
Right.
But the music is on the phone, so I got to have the phone. Like if I like with CarPlay in the car. Like if I want to listen to music in the car now, got to have my phone.
Right.
Now, when I'm driving around, it's just the music, and I'm not, I don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not like on the phone or that kind of thing. But we're very tethered to our phones. Apparently,
So tethered to our phones. It's annoying.
well, apparently it's causing all sorts of real problems, like emotional and psychological problems for people. The phones.
Really?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
have that problem. Like I could walk away from my phone. I put my phone down. I walk away from my phone sometimes for hours at a time. It's my favorite. I love it.
Yeah,
I
not
love
you.
not being tethered to my phone.
Not you, but a lot of it has become, and because like they studied it with kids,
Yeah.
and that there was a direct proportion to how well students did in school later based on at what age they were given a device.
Interesting.
And that like it's part of why a lot of these schools are like, I know that we have these situations with their active shooters or whatever, and
Right.
kids want to be able to text their parents, I love you, before somebody goes and blows the place up or whatever. Look, that's terrible, and it's, whatever. But a lot of these schools are like, we've got to get these phones away from these kids
Right.
for 8 hours a day because they're not able to focus on anything.
Well, I tell you what, some of these schools have introduced those magnetic bags where you walk into school, you put your phone in a bag, you put it up against this little magnet thing, it seals it, and then you can't unlock that bag until the end of the school day. I think that is the perfect solution to cell phones in schools.
Yeah. I mean, that's expensive technology, so...
Yes, but If it keeps your kids focused while they're in school, it sounds like it's useful technology.
Yeah. But it's become a real problem of, people can't get away from
Right.
it. So yes, so from that standpoint, I do miss having an iPod because I miss the sort of single deviceness of it where there's no other distraction here. It's just music. And so if I'm like taking a walk in the neighborhood or something, or me riding a bike, riding a bike or whatever it is, like just to be able to just like hear some tunes and not be interrupted by the real world happening, then that's great.
Yeah.
But people become very addicted to like being connected to the world. And
the problem is people are on their phones at work, at school, like at all the places you shouldn't be on your phone fucking around. People are always on their phones fucking around. Yeah. I support allowing people to bring their phones with them, but I like this idea of these devices that you can put your phone in and it will make them so you can't use them for periods when you should be fucking working.
Or interacting with other human beings.
Right. Like, sometimes I make Romy put down the phone and be like, okay, this is family time. We're not on our phones. The phones get put away. Like, it's very important, I think, to have those moments. It's what I love about the farm by my house is that, when I see the kids down at the farm, they're not on their cell phones. Those cell phones, they have them on them. They're usually in a pocket. You can see them, but the kids aren't obsessed with pulling them out and being on them. They're busy interacting with other people, interacting with the animals, like being part of nature. The phones become so secondary in a place like that I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves that kids need that shit. Like, we got to get kids outside, get them interacting with, the outdoors or with animals or with whatever else that can not be phones. I just think it's important to do, but it's hard to like find that place, that magical place where the kids will put away their phones.
Yeah. But I think it's ultimately about sort of instilling in them when they're young that there's a time and a place for this technology. And and this is our own, this is really like this is Gen X's fault because we were given initially with the internet, what was great in the early days of the internet was with dial-up, you had a choice between your phone working
right
or being online.
Right.
And so
it's one or the other.
So people would only be online during, short periods of time because they didn't want to tie up their phone line because there wasn't a way for people to leave a message or otherwise contact them. And at the time, that was really vital. Of like, if you were home, you needed to be able to have the phone ring. I'm sure your parents used to scream about this all the time when you guys were on the phone for like, you're on the phone for too long, get off the phone.
On the phone. Yeah.
Somebody might be trying to call us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we, and then things like AOL where they charge you by the hour.
Right.
You used it less because, or even like long distance, like when you had long distance.
When you had to pay for long distance on your phone. Oh, the worst.
So we had some gatekeeping that we used to have that was sort of built into the early days of the internet and phones and whatever else, based on cost.
Yes.
But it also built probably better practices. Like people use these things more judiciously because they knew, like if you called somebody on a cell phone in the early days where, like if you talked before 7 p.m. or whatever it was, like it cost money.
Yep.
So if you were at a restaurant and your phone rang, like you were having the shortest conversation you could have with a person.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're on your way? Great. I'll see you. Like we got so good at the under 1 minute conversation.
Yeah.
Because every minute cost money.
Yep.
So you had to get good at talking to a person in 58 seconds.
Yep.
And everybody knew that's what was happening. And you'd got a good sense of like what a minute was. And if you saw on your phone bill that there was like a 1 minute, 1 second call, pissed. Oh, that cunt. I'm not friends with her anymore. Pissed.
Yep.
Anyway. So I think that we, the earliest days, because of the cost associated with things, we were good at gatekeeping this time.
Right.
And then once we had unlimited internet access, once we had unlimited phone access, and then every app in the world, and then the internet was just full of slop, even before AI, then, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet where you're never full. But we didn't naturally set our own boundaries. And we were so happy to finally not have to worry about those boundaries, but we didn't really think about what the cost of that would be mentally or emotionally. It was just like so great. We have all this information. We have all of this ability to connect with people. We have all. But at the end of it, now we're like, ugh, I can't trust the information that I'm getting. I hate all the people I used to love because I have too much interaction with them. I know too much about them, and now it makes me resent them or disagree with them. Like, it has turned like this embarrassment of riches. It really is like King Midas, right? Everything he touches turns to gold, and then he hugs his daughter, and she also turns into a block of gold, right? Yeah. You have so much, but it ruins your life because you can't have the things that matter the most to you.
Right.
Like the relationships that you wanted to have, you can't have anymore because too much has been revealed. So I think that it's probably the best thing to do, because they have this reading challenge, because people have struggled to read. Because they don't have the attention span to read anymore because of, what a time suck the phones and social media is. So now they have a thing where people like coach other people, and you set aside time to read, like just read a page. You set aside time. It just like people with like sort of fitness goals.
Right.
Now people have reading goals. I set aside time to read 1 page a day, and then after a week, I'm reading 2 pages a day, like to get themselves back into
the habit of reading.
Like the habit of reading.
That's crazy.
But also like
that's crazy.
Mentally setting time aside every day to not be connected to your phone, not be connected to email, not be connected to social media, setting time during the day where you are not connected to those things. Just like with kids with TV, having time where there's no TV.
Right.
And because we all had that when we were kids. No TV, but go play outside. And so in a way, I guess this is sort of the advice now of go play outside. Like, don't be online, don't be on your phone, don't turn on the TV. Right. Go outside. Run around.
Do something real.
Yeah. But it's a very real thing. But where it's a problem is like parents and grandparents are also like stuck in a swirl of AI slop and misinformation. Like people used to make fun of the people who would only watch Fox News, and then they had like a distorted sense of reality, right? In the 90s and early 2000s. But the problem is now the internet is doing that to everyone. Like it's no longer this joke of just like, oh, the Fox News people, they're in this bubble of misinformation. It's like, honey, the misinformation is everywhere. And
not the truth.
You don't have to be an old conservative person watching Fox News to be constantly bombarded with misinformation and disinformation and a cocoon of, confirmation bias for what you already believe. And so now, like, all of the jokes and stories about old people with Fox News 20 years ago, 30 years ago, are now real for all of us. So it's not a good situation.
Yeah,
I don't want to wrap up the show. It's such a fucking bummer note, but it is.
Way to go,
like,
Derek. Way to go.
But that is like seriously, like it's a thing.
That is a thing. Wow. That's crazy. I'm just glad my child knows how to read.
Yes,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she actually does it, but I know she knows how. I don't know. How do they type and text though if they can't read?
Not well.
I mean, I guess. Is that why we have emojis? Because people don't know how to spell words?
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sad. I don't know how else to put that, but that's sad.
It's a little bit sad.
Oh, the world we live in. Ah, good times. Good times, Derek. Well.
Well, you know what?
No, what? Tell me.
We'll wrap things up on a little happier note.
Okay.
So there used to be this photographer in New York City. His name is Bill Cunningham.
Okay.
And he died a few years ago, but he would photograph people on the street, usually in Midtown Manhattan, and take pictures of what they were wearing.
Okay.
And it would be in the fashion section of the New York Times. And it was just basically like, what is the average New Yorker wearing?
Okay.
And they would gather the photos together, and then they would sort of put together little like trends, like what are the street trends of New York?
Okay.
And he
cool.
was a gay guy, and he lived at Carnegie Hall. They have like these artist apartments above Carnegie Hall where artists can live there for like 5 cents. And so he lived there, and he rode around on his bike, and he took pictures of people in Midtown and sort of like reported on their fashion and everything. And anyway, he died 10-something years ago, a while ago. And he had all of these photos, but his nieces, and I think he has a nephew, they have donated his decades of street scene photography of New Yorkers to the New York Historical Society to become a part of their permanent collection on the history of New York.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, so people will be able to, I don't know what exhibits they're going to do in the future, but I would imagine they've got decades of like people walking around New York, and sometimes they are people before they were famous, but often it's just like people that he thought looked chic or interesting, and he would take pictures of them, and it was just very democratic of like, I liked this woman's style, so I took her picture, and then she ended up in the style section of the New York Times.
That's cool.
So I think it'll be great. They'll be able to do retrospectives on different eras in New York and what people look like, what New York looked like. So it's a great collection for them to get, and I hope they do wonderful things with it. So anyway,
cool.
There you go. Look, we can end on a happy note now.
Yay!
The world is not terrible.
Mostly. There you go. Well, very cool.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll be back again.
Yeah.
Another day,
somewhere in the future.
Someday.
No, he's singing. No. Bye, Derek.
Bye.
Can't get enough of the show? Follow them on Twitter at DNR Show or like them on Facebook.
And don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe to DNR 2.0 at DerekandRomaine.com.